good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise. It is this Monday morning. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Indeed, good morning and welcome to you. It's a day after all of the conventions that transpired right here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Well, yes, there'll be a lot more political activities going on up until the elections. For instance, we suspect that you might just have some of the ministers begin to step down, resign, and pursue their ambition. So a few ministries are suspected that they will experience such movement. Let's keep an eye on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and some others. We'll tell you as we proceed with all of that.
Foreign Affairs was the least likely. I mean, I was expecting.
That's the idea.
We're looking more at health, perhaps power, maybe. Well, those two at least are very much on the front burner because the president also says it's not just the ministers. He also says special assistants, PAs, what have you, senior special assistants, special advisors. Anyone who has political ambition around his office has till tomorrow. So far so good. Today is the 30th. We haven't seen any letters. Have you seen any? But these are the places where we're looking, because what we've seen before now. Will we see in the Ministry of Defense as well? I don't know. We're just speculating. We'll wait till the 1st of April. And we believe it will be no April Fools when these letters finally come out. Or will they?
Well, what do we know? But you know, yes, over the weekend, a lot of activity did go on. But before we come to politics, because I mean, it can't all, or shouldn't all be about politics. You remember some time ago where I've spoken about JAMB, and we did remind you, we went down memory lane and showed you some images of the head of JAMB, Professor Shakolede, weeping as to some of the things that went wrong and talked so much, blah, blah, blah. But I'd like to be very clear this morning. The 2026 JAMB mock examination was supposed to be a test of the system. Instead, it became a test of the patience, the resilience, and frankly, the endurance of Nigerian students and their parents. Across centers on Saturday, March 28th, what played out was not preparation, it was dysfunction. Students scheduled for a 2-hour exam spent close to 4 hours navigating delays, system failures, and uncertainty. In some centers, there was no electricity, no backup, no urgency, just waiting. Parents, many of them stood outside under scorching sun, some as you see they're sitting, hoping, wondering if this system their children depend on is actually ready. And here's the part, the troubling part, I might add. The leadership of JAMB was present in at least one of the centers, that's the prof himself, Professor Loide, and yet the problems persisted. What does this tell us? It simply says, this is no longer about awareness. It is not about oversight. It is about execution. Because if you can see the failure and it still happens, then it is no longer an accident. It is a breakdown. And the simple question today is simple. What is the explanation to parents this time? What will it be? Parents who paid, parents who woke up at 4 a.m., parents who were there to meet the 6:30 reporting time. Parents who took the risks, made sacrifices, only to be told in some cases to go home because the system failed again. We are now hearing a familiar refrain, JAMB is not ready. And if this is true, if after everything the system is still not ready, then what exactly are we preparing students for in the main examination? Because this is just mock. This cannot continue. A mock exam that fails this badly raises serious questions about the credibility of the real one. And if the same issues carry over, then yes, there will be no excuses, none. Because accountability cannot stop at explanations. It must include consequences. Otherwise, what we're doing is normalizing failure and encouraging impunity. This is not just about technology. It's about fairness. It's about trust. And it is about the future of millions of Nigerian students. So the expectation now is not complicated. Fix the system, for crying out loud, and audit the centers, guarantee power, connectivity, and coordination. And above all, do not fail these students again, JAMB. Don't.
Very little to add to that, Chamberlain. Very, very little, because it already describes a problem and, you know, already profiles the solution. It profiles what the expectations of Nigerians are, the minimum expectations of Nigerians. I think the only saving grace we have here is that this is mock. Mock as opposed to be preparatory. But if the preparations are anything to go by, then people have, you know, reason to be worried about what the real exams will look like. I want to believe that Professor Oluyede will take this very seriously. Thankfully, he was on the ground himself. He saw things with his own eyes. Unfortunately, they did not even get any better. So I want to believe that having seen what he saw, he will have an idea of what needs to be done to make sure that the main exams are not a failure. We wait to hear from them to see what exactly the explanation will be this time around as to such a dismal, let's say, performance or dismal outing for this mock exams. But in the meantime, we will say these are mock exams. And we will wait and say, JAMB, we sincerely hope that the main exams will be far better than what we saw. Will be a great improvement over what we saw. I mean, you know, Chamberlain, JAMB and mock exams, or will I say JAMB and electronic exams, they've been doing this now for years.
Yeah.
One would think that as they go on every year, it will get better. I think JAMB was one of the areas that people now started looking at, even INEC, to say, but JAMB is doing it. Even WAEC now is saying, but JAMB is doing it. They too are looking at how they can do electronic examinations, because JAMB has now had this technology for a while. I imagine that they're trying to improve on it. But what we're looking at is not just the technology that was deployed in the systems, it's the general logistics of getting this ready. No electricity, system failure. What exactly is going on? What are those about? Big questions really need to be asked as to what exactly happened with the logistics arrangement. But as we said, it's mock exams. We want to believe that the mock is supposed to help you prepare for the main thing. If you have now seen how dismally, horribly wrong this went, then perhaps there'll be greater preparation for what the main exams will be.
Well, unfortunately, we can only hope for that one, because what we saw over the weekend, the mock exams, in fact, it was a mockery of the mock exams.
Indeed.
Well, over the weekend, the political parties, APC and the PDP, held their conventions. We'll kick off with that of the PDP, because that happened yesterday. So you were there. You also spoke with the Minister of the FCT, who is the national leader of the party, by the way.
So title. Making his way around now.
Well, that's what
and we just saw
former Governor Fayose called him. So he's the national leader.
Indeed. And now we have seen another national leader resign his own position. So nothing is cast in stone, is it?
There you go. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
God knows why it just happened this way. This was the venue that Atiku Abubakar, David Bach, and Willie Waziri and co. laid the foundation of the burial of PDP. Unknown to us that they have other reasons. They did not want PDP to survive. But I thank God that God has said, man proposes and God disposes. It was this venue that impunity was shown. Remember, our constitution of the party, particularly section 7C, did say that every position, be it elective or appointive, shall be zoned to the various regions. The founding fathers of the party knew why that was so. Nigeria is a complex society. Nigeria is a society based on several ethnic groups, religion, and so what. And so they had this in mind, that if you want the unity of this country, the unity of this party, then we should zone things. And that was what we preached. I would say, look, taken into cognizance that, look, the person who was at the saddle of power then was President Muhammadu Buhari, and who was finishing his 8 years. Of course, common sense dictated that the next president should come from the south. I would say, look, this is what we should do. They say, oh, no need. Let them not zone anything yet till after the emergence of National Party chairman. We say, look, the National Party chairman should go to the north, while the presidency should be zoned to the south. They refused. Unknown to us that they had a hidden agenda. And then we brought in Dr. Yocha Ayu, who we never knew was so corrupt, so corrupt. I've said it time with a number, and up to now, he had never sued me. Now, even when they called all the aspirants to address the delegates, we did. And they said, we're entering the electoral process. That means voting will start. The next thing we had, that there will be an announcement. What was the announcement? Amir was the top of has something to say. We all watched and said, okay, what was he going to say? He said he's no longer interested. Fine. But they gave him another room to campaign. He now said, vote for my senior brother, Atiku Abubakar. When other people have spoken with him, and you do not think necessary that you can call the other aspirants again if they had anything to say, based on the fact that an aspirant who has spoken has come back now to say that such a candidate should not be supported, which was a campaign when campaign had already stopped. That was manipulation, and we allowed it. Thereafter, I was okay, let the national chairman come back to the south so that there will be a balancing. Of course, impunity, being what they had always lived in life, they said no. And then we said, well, we'll continue to maintain that the presidency must come to the south. And that was what led to the crisis of PDP. And they started again and said, zone this presidency to the south. They said there's no need to do it, but later they agreed.
Your Excellency, the question is going to be, how do you hope that the events of tonight will not only correct or will heal the memories of 4 years ago, but also pull your party together ahead of the 2027 elections?
That's what I've said here, that we have started the healing. We started to talk about the unity. Look at those who came for the convention today. Be honest. Look at the organization. It tells you people who are not serious. It tells you people who have made up their mind. Yes, we have made a mistake. Now we want to correct our mistakes. And in correcting that mistake, it starts with this convention. Let us see how able you are to be able to organize a credible, very coordinated convention. Now, having succeeded in that, we believe that now we have National Working Committee. They will go back to the drawing table and come up with a timetable that will continue to heal the party. It's not going to be a 2-hour thing. It's not going to be a 1-month affair. But once you are committed, you believe in PDP, we will attain that.
Welcome back. Yes, as you've seen, the PDP held their convention yesterday, and new leadership, the working committee, were elected. Well, sometimes when we use that word, well, we'll find out now. Well, as you see, Honorable Austin Nwachukwu joins us here this morning. He is the chairman of Imo State PDP. He's also the chairman of the state chairman in PDP in the country. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning.
So,
good morning.
The convention has held, and I know a long night, a long day it was yesterday, and thank you for coming on this morning. I know you should have been resting, sleeping, but duty calls, and so you had to take that upon yourself. But in terms of the process, I know for you and the group, victory, as it were, but we also do know that this is not the last chapter of what's happening, because the Turaki group, who knows, I think they've gone to court. And so, but at the end of the day, for you, would you consider this a closure of the matter?
Thank you, Chamberlain, for having me. And good morning, Nigerians, and huge congratulations to the entire PDP family in the country. Chamberlain, I'm happy the way you started this program by saying you know that the other people might go to court. Chamberlain, you don't put something on nothing. Why I say so is this. If they decided to go to court, they have no locus to go to court. There's no faction, as it were. But if you are aggrieved, as we have it right now, the Turaki people, if they are aggrieved, they cannot be availed of any opportunity of going to the Supreme Court. And the reason being that in the judgment that the appellate court gave, a comprehensive judgment, no dissenting voice, it was mentioned that the only recognized caretaker working committee of the party is that which is led by Abdul Rahman Mohammed and Senator Samuel Ndembeka. And they also mentioned that the National Legal Advisor, Ramadeen Ajibade SN, was suspended in November. And that suspension, it's only for 1 month, for 30 days. So up until the first week of December, his suspension has expired. And Ajibade resumed his office as the National Legal Advisor of the party. And if you go to our constitution, at chapter 42 of our constitution, it's well spelled out who brings legal issues for the party. It is the Ajibade SAN who can file a matter in court for PDP. So as it were, are they suing the man who's supposed to sue? Ajibade is the only person authorized by the party constitution to go to any court for legal matters. So if they are proceeding to the Supreme Court, it means that nobody there has filed anything until Ajibade, if he decides to file, which I know he will not file against the party that he belongs.
One other thing, I mean, maybe Mark might follow up later on that one, but one other thing that also was dominant was the question as to if, because that's what we understand, so you could correct it if it's wrong, the PDP, oh no, the minister himself will not be supporting a presidential candidate for the PDP. That gives people the impression that, well, he's going to support the presidential candidate of the APC. Doesn't that in some way weaken the opposition?
Chamberlain, yesterday, I'm glad that you were at the venue of the convention. I spotted you there. Did you hear the minister say, I am supporting this president or that?
No, not on that ground, but he said it before.
Now,
in a different fora.
The minister, Wike, is an individual. It's an individual. He might wake up to say, I'm supporting Chamberlain for president. That's his own personal opinion that he has canvassed. And nobody can take it away from Wike. He has right to support whoever he wishes to support. The party hierarchy, the national chairman of the party, and the party structure, have they announced who they are supporting? So Wike canvassed his own opinion, which you must respect. And as a party member, if I feel that our candidate that we have is not going to do well and we're going to waste, I have my opinion. And that's exactly what Wike has canvassed.
I like the definition you say. Is an individual who just happens to be the national leader. We just heard of that title yesterday. The national leader of the People's Democratic Party. When a leader says he's going somewhere, do they go alone?
Well, the Honorable Minister has not called the party to say he's supporting XYZ. Not until he does that, then the party takes a position. Right now, he canvasses his own personal opinion, which nobody can take it away from him. That's the way it is.
Well, maybe Chimele might want to pursue that much later, but let me bring you back to the issue of reconciliation. What a number of people had hoped will happen with the convention that they saw in Abuja was that they were going to see more and more members of the people who had done a convention in Ibadan. That clearly did not happen yesterday. At least we did not see a lot of the big wigs whom we had seen at the Ibadan convention, at this convention here in Abuja. We saw a few people, but some of the main actors there were not here. So the big questions as to what exactly is happening around reconciliation right now, because we know that in the run-up to this convention, especially after the courts had delivered judgment, there had been moves, even conditions set. Is it that it had been difficult for the parties to meet? Is it that no side is willing to yield ground? What exactly is happening in that regard? Because some people will say, if the PDP is going to be a formidable force going ahead, we must see moves around reconciliation.
Yeah, Mogbe, you know that what happened in Ibadan was not a convention. You merely mentioned that I want to state it here and now. That what happened in Ibadan is a mere jamboree. That is not a convention of the People Democratic Party. What happened yesterday was a conventional convention.
I don't know whether those kind of comments will help, but especially when looking at the reconciliation.
Yesterday was a conventional convention where the only organ that monitors political party activities, INEC, was physically present. And that officers that came there yesterday was led by a senior advocate of Nigeria who is a top person in INEC. In Ibadan, did you hear any INEC presence there? So when we are talking about convention, people should jettison this Ibadan, because the courts have also hammered on it, that it never existed. Before they went to do it, the court said, don't do it. And they stubbornly went to do an Amala Jamboree, that's what we call it. And today, it's not known to law. The only convention known to law is the one that happened yesterday at the National Stadium. And that is the convention of the People Democratic Party. A convention that has departed the party from discouragement to encouragement.
Honorable Wanchuku,
yes,
I think you missed my point.
Yeah.
Whether it was a jamboree, whether it was a convention, people of the People's Democratic Party gathered in Ibadan. True or false?
Deceitfully.
They went there, that's what I'm saying. Whether it was a
they went there without the conscience of the party.
So
the party did not go to Ibadan.
These people,
it's a mere...
are they members of your party?
Well, some of them could be members who were just casual to go there for that. I mean, you know, there's hardship
we get
in the
that.
country.
So what my point is this. The hope was that these people that gathered in Ibadan, for whatever name you call it, would also come back and be part of this convention you held here.
If they so wish.
Yes, but there were moves in that regard initially. What has happened to that? Is it that it's no longer a part of it, or it's no longer a part of the plan?
Reconciliation is an ongoing exercise. You don't reconcile one day, and that's it. You also know the man that is calling for reconciliation, what is he looking for? What does he want you to do? Supposing the people who are coming to reconcile and say they want to take over the party, are we going to say, yes, come, because we're reconciling? The issue here is, if they show good faith, the convention of yesterday has spelled out where the party is. And that is where the conscience of the party is. So anybody who wishes to join that moving train will come with open hands and in good faith. If they do, the party will consider them and admit them.
Did they not come in good faith when they came to negotiate initially?
If you are coming in good faith to negotiate, and it is rumored that they have run to Supreme Court.
No, but
you can't be negotiating when you are also fighting.
No, but they thought that, because what we understand from what they said was they had come to negotiate. When they saw that all the positions that had already been taken up, they didn't give them any opportunity to present any leadership or anything whatsoever. So they said, well, if you're shutting us out, we might as well just go back to court.
Nobody says so, Chamberlain. I'm aware, and as a fact, that the sale of forms was made open. The sale of forms for this particular officers of the convention was thrown open.
No, but you know it's beyond sale of forms.
Published in the national dailies. Even Arise, they were
adverts. But you know that
if you are interested to run in the office, nobody will cajole you to go and run. You make up your mind, go and buy form. If you have bought form, didn't you see the ballot boxes lined up in that place? It's for contest. That's why the boxes are there. It is for people to cast their vote for their candidates.
Was it a contest? You had a consensus.
What I'm saying is, if, for example, you have only one person buying form or showing interest to buy form, what are you going to do voting for? The party has, according to the new Electoral Act, to either go do indirect or direct
consensus.
Consensus. And consensus was the order of the day, and we took it. Let us not overemphasize this issue of shutting people out. PDP is a large family. Nobody that will come to the party will be driven away. Nobody. The national chairman that was elected yesterday, in his acceptance speech.
Was he elected or it was confirmed?
He was elected yesterday in the national convention. Chamberlain was there. He witnessed it.
Sure.
And I put it to you that
we didn't witness it.
That you witnessed. No, he did. Chamberlain witnessed the election.
It's not the same convention I attended.
Yeah.
You were there. So you didn't see an election take place?
I didn't see any elections.
What if people agree? If people agree, according to the Electoral Act, the Electoral Act has very political parties what to do. And if you choose not to do A and do B, that's the election. That's the election. Because the officers were advertised, and they were called up, and the motion was moved, seconded, and it was carried.
So I don't know, some people, I was thinking, myself and my colleagues were looking through the program yesterday. Yeah. And, you know, we just realized that it seemed that the PDP was already working to the answer, or working to the question from the answer. They already had the answers. They just wanted to ask a few questions. Because, yes, you admit that there were boxes and ballot papers and what have you, voting podiums for people to go to voting booths, as the case might be. But yesterday on the program, we saw a vote of thanks to be given by newly elected National Secretary of the party.
Yes.
It means that you already knew who was going to emerge as the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party.
The party organogram.
It was on the program yesterday.
The party organogram is such that the National Secretary, that is his function to do. Whether he had just been elected.
Yeah, so if you had stopped at, just a moment, if you had stopped at vote of thanks to be given by the newly elected National Secretary, there will be no problem with that. The problem with that was that there was a name attached to the newly elected National Secretary already on the program.
As at the time of that vote of thanks, was he not elected? As at the time when that vote of thanks... As at the time of the agenda...
No, as at the time the agenda for the program was done, had he been elected?
That one does not... is immaterial. What is material is...
Is it material that you already knew he was going to be elected before he was elected?
The point I'm making is this. It is the function of the National Secretary to do that. Whether you are saying...
Whether we put a name to it or not, it doesn't matter.
What I'm saying is, it's just like you are here. You are the one to present this program. Whether you have done your election before coming to the program, all I know here is my is the one that would be talking to me.
Well,
that's it.
What we want to tell political science students watching this program. Politics 101. It's not the same thing I hear here. Don't go and think this is the same thing you say, politics 101. A lot happens behind the scenes before you see what's in front of you. For those who may want to come and negotiate, now maybe the Turaki-led group, what is there to negotiate anyway, if they were to come to the party?
So much. Everybody will not be national secretary or national chairman. There are a lot of things the party have that they can be allowed to participate in. We are talking about raising candidates for the forthcoming elections. Are they not going to throw up candidates for the party? Are they not going to put people to run for House of Assembly, National Assembly, and governors? So must everybody be party official? The answer is no.
But if
so
I were...
Is the issue of national official of the party the problem? That is not the problem.
But don't you think that there will be some candidates or aspirants who will be, not even the aspirants or candidates, but supporters, who will be a little confused as to how do I proceed now? Because initially they thought the Ibadan group was it. It was not. Now they are back here because of the judgment. And now, as we've heard, if the other group has gone to court, they'll be wondering, well, we don't know what to expect. So wouldn't that confuse them a little bit in terms of putting all their machinery in motion immediately rather than wait until the judgment, everything is over?
Chamberlain, the Apex Court, the Appellate Court has given a very, very sound judgment that says this is the way to go for PDP. Not until that judgment is upturned. That is the law. Anything we are doing now is predicated upon that judgment that subsists. And that is why you saw INEC ably present in that convention. So let nobody get confused. The party has moved on. And I assure you that every issues canvassed in those judgments, from a Motosho judgment in the Federal High Court. Remember, I'm one of the litigants in that case. Then to the Appeal Court. All are saying the reason why that convention should not hold, that whatever they call convention in Ibadan, because it is not favored by law.
Okay.
They have not fulfilled all the requirements, i.e., before that Ibadan show, 14 states of the country, 14 of PDP states, have not done their congresses, leading to this convention you saw yesterday.
It will
mean to disenfranchise those states. Yesterday, you saw that every state were there.
Let's wind down
with
this
Ibadan,
one.
Did you see this kind of arrangement?
Let's wind down with this one.
Yes.
Imo State.
So I encourage people to come.
Imo PDP.
Yes.
Do you think that they will stand a chance against the ruling party? Because if there's an incumbent governor who, for instance, assuming he's bent on ensuring that his party retains the government house seat, what chance does PDP have?
Chamberlain, Imo State is a pure PDP state.
But with an APC governor.
The current governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, was a board of trustee member of PDP before he moved party. There is nobody in APC from Imo that didn't come from PDP. At the end of the day, my father said that if a child does not be careful, what kills the father might kill him. But I assure you that Imo State PDP has come to be, and surprises will be pulled in this election. Because the people who speak, the people of Imo are PDP people. Even those people wearing the toga of APC in Imo, they are PDP. And I assure you, I told you, Imo will be PDP come 2027 elections.
It's a game of wait and see. We'll see how that pans out. But just very quickly, we saw yesterday a letter written by the national leader of the NNPP, or the former national leader of the NNPP, resigning his appointment or resigning his position and joining the ADC. Which opposition force do you think will be more formidable, the ADC or the PDP?
I'll tell you for free. Remember that all these parties you are hearing today, they all came from PDP. PDP is the mother of all political parties in Nigeria. So I'm surprised that you're asking which one will be stronger. Go to, even in your village, Maokwe, make phone calls. The grassroots are all PDP people. The local people, they are PDP people. So don't even talk about ADC, because I know that is a marriage of convenience. At the appropriate time, they will find their way. But PDP remains strong, bold, very and firm. And PDP is the alternative to any other political party in Nigeria. So I know that we will make it.
Honorable Austin Wachuku is the chairman of PDP in Imo State and the chairman of PDP state chairman in the states, in the country. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
We will be back in a moment and turn our attention to the All Progressives Congress, so don't go away. Welcome back. Yes, the ruling All Progressives Congress has concluded its 8th national convention here in Abuja. They brought together over 8,000 delegates under the theme Unity in Progress, consolidating the renewed hope agenda. Well, that convention saw the emergence of a new 25-member NWC through a consensus arrangements, including the return of party leadership figures, moving the APC, it moves the APC, says, are aimed at strengthening internal cohesion and positioning the party ahead of the 2027 elections. But questions remain about internal democracy, consensus politics, and what this means for party unity moving forward. We're joined this morning to discuss all of this by Dr. Ben Woye, who is the Deputy National Chairman South of the APC. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Thank you for having me.
If I should say, the newly elected Deputy National Chairman South of the APC. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, when they say consensus, people say, how do I process that? Consensus it sounds like what? An alternative does selection? Everybody just comes and affirms. You participated in that election, of course, of which you emerged. Talk to us about this concept of consensus, because many think they already agree back home, so just come there, fulfill our righteousness, and so that the law will be seen to be conforming to the law.
Chamberlain, first, allow me to say shout out to my dear president, who just turned 74, a great president. And just right after our convention, a wonderful man, I congratulate him and say, my president, happy birthday to you, even though I'm saying it belated. But consensus, it is a constitutional process. Our constitution allows us to do consensus or to cast ballot. But the process of it is not just that some people sit in conclave and decide. If you go around the country, especially in the southern part of the country, and if you listen to the radios and some TV stations, you see my campaign. I campaign vigorously. I have billboards out there. I set up soldiers of media people. And then we talk to people. We talk to delegates and we talk to leaders. And then coming towards the end, I went through the screening process, meaning that I had to first of all purchase the form, fill out the form, submit the form at the appropriate time, and then put myself up to be screened. I was screened, and that means that I was examined, both my character and fitness to serve, and qualification to serve, and my history, and what I've done for the party, and what my intentions are for the party.
Just a moment. Were you contesting to be Deputy National Chairman, or you're contesting to be Chairman of the party? No,
Deputy National Chairman South. You know, in our party we have two. We have the Chairman, and then we have a Deputy National Chairman North, and a Deputy National Chairman South.
How many of you were there?
Two of us contested for the Deputy National Chairman South. So when you say consensus, you have two of us contested. And so if you look around, if you hear the samba, even if you go around Abuja now, you go around the Secretariat, you will see my billboards. But the other man that I was contesting with was an incumbent that was obviously had incumbency advantage. And so he didn't think there was a need to move around, or there was a need to put up billboards and to approach people. I did. I approached people. I approached, literally speaking, thousands of people. I went across the nation. Remember, every delegate, a little bit over, I think it's about 7,200 and something delegates. I went around, I had people doing the work. So when you've done that, when you've done those rudimentals, and you meet leaders, both the automatic delegates and the elected delegates from all the local government, we'll be able to reach to them. Remember, I was a former state chairman. So I had my people on ground, people that were chairman. I was a chairman for 8 years. I recall a few months ago, thanks to Governor Peter Ndupi Simba, our smart performing governor, I was returned back to serve as a state chairman, caretaker chairman for Enugu. So it gave me opportunity to again reintegrate myself with the system. So it is not like people sit down and they just anoint you, but they examine who you are. And at some point, in some cases, the other candidate will find that they no longer have a chance, and they quietly drop. So you didn't see any, at least in my own case, and so others. You didn't see any protest. Because at the end of the day, I came with a new idea. I came with a new spirit. I came with vigor. And my support was huge. It was massive. I had youth followership, and I had the elders followership. Many people that had kind of felt ignored. Because again, I'm one of the founding members of the party, and a founding elected chairman of the party. And one time, the secretary of the chairman's forum. So given all that, it became clear the person I was contesting against, the incumbent then, had been in the system from the beginning of the party. The party is now, I think, we're about 13 years old, since 2013. He had been a interim organizing national welfare secretary. He had been for 2 terms vice national chairman, Southeast. And then he rose to become deputy national chairman, South. So he had become an institution. So people wanted change. And when you're an institution, people will look at what have you done within those times. And I was able to point out that when you on this system for too long, leadership fatigue sets in. And if leadership fatigue sets in, idea fatigue manifests. And so what we are bringing on board is a new system, a new idea that we are now going to traverse the entire southern part of the country. The election of 2027 is going to be a tough one. It's going to be an election like none other. So we need someone with the strength, with the vigor, not just waiting to receive people. And we need someone to be visible.
You say it's going to be a tough one. What do you see going to be different on the terrain?
Okay. Now, you see the PDP. Yesterday, they just did by the way, I congratulate them. Congratulations to the newly elected chairman and the executives of the People's Democratic Party. They did their own convention yesterday. They have prepared to face us, to do the electoral contest. And then you see ADC rising. ADC, very soon they will put together their own convention. Then there's a Labour Party. Okay, outside that, you still have the obedient movement. So we don't know. There's a lot of unpredictability of what will happen. So we wait. And very, very soon, you know that the election calendar is fast approaching. We don't know who will come from, but very likely from the south, we're going to have multiple, I'm predicting this, we're most likely going to have multiple people contesting for presidency from the south.
So where do you think the challenge will be for the party, for the president, for instance? Is it up north or down south?
It's down south, and that's why I say it's going to be an election like none other. Last time it was down south, and this time it's going to be down south. Because you have different people wanting to be president from the south. You have the Obi himself, of course you have Amici, who was from here, and some others who have not really declared, but we know that they are warming up. If you come to Southeast, and you see what happened in the last election, it was the ground zero for the obedient movement. They practically took everywhere, including my state. I mean, they won 2 out of 3 Senate seats. They won, I think they won 15 out of 24 House of Assembly seats. And they won 7 out of 8 House of Rep seats. So it's huge. So when you have the man sitting there, and then he went to Delta State, he caved in, he took some. He went to Edo State, he won. So and of course he won the Lagos. Remember, he won Lagos. So you can't, when you have such figure moving around, you should be prepared. And remember, he has his feet on 2 parties. On one hand, the obedient movement is there and alive, and then you have the ADC. And he said he's going to run. So when you have that, you have a whole block, almost the south-south and south-southeast. He picked a chunk of vote, even in Rivers State. I mean, they didn't want, but they picked a chunk of vote from there. Delta State, they did. And we are talking about popular votes. So every vote is going to count. We are going to fight through the system. We are going to make sure that we get as much as we can to win. So there's no doubt about it.
Do you think the challenge is going to be a little more challenging owing to the situation of the economy?
Of course, it's not just the economy. Every election is challenging. It doesn't matter if the economy is rosy or not. But given where we are
for now, they say it's not rosy.
Yes, but it's improvement. There's a huge improvement from where we were before. So the improvement is going on, and now we have the war going on, the Middle East war going on.
Yeah, but before the war.
Yeah, we know that before the war. But we must recognize what is happening. We must recognize that it is not just something peculiar to Nigeria as a nation. That right now, a lot of the economy, I know you get into the oil stuff and all that, we are oil dependent for the most part.
The purchasing power parity.
I'm sorry?
The purchasing power.
Yes, of course, it will affect it. But they also have to look at what we have done, how things are coming back. The last time I was here, I told you that food security, we are sorting that out. The price of, you say it's not so, but I say, go to the market. I have a shop where I sell soup, I sell pepper soup and all that. We know, I mean, I run a pepper soup shop in Warri, okay, and in Port Harcourt. So we know that the price of things are coming down. And not just rice, but gari is coming down, yam is coming down. Even the poultry, they're all coming down. So people understood that for us to do well, we have to sacrifice. But in then, I use Enugu all the time. If you go to Enugu, you see the type of development that occurred. It wouldn't occur if we didn't have the fuel subsidy remover. Now you have Enugu running like a company. We now have an airline, we have the school, the
I'd like to know those markets where those prices are coming down so I can check them out. Because when you get out there and they tell you the transport fare cost, which is rising consistently, affects any and everything. So they pass on all the prices across the board.
Look, Timberlane, you're dwelling on one thing about food.
No, that's not just one thing. That's a major thing.
Yeah, that's a major thing. But if you go down, you see it. I don't think you are looking at it with clear vision. If you're looking at it with clear vision, you will see that a lot has happened. Now, students are able to
go to the price of petrol?
No, for example.
Transport fare?
For example, students can go to school without paying, if you don't have money. You take loan.
How do you mean without paying?
You take loan. You take loan, and this is interest-free loan, which you have many years to pay. Like it used to be, like the same way we had it in the United States. So you can't say, that you can't go to school because you can't afford it. You can study law, you can study medicine, you can study engineering, architecture, any of these things. Even if you don't have money. We didn't have that before. It's happening now under this leadership.
I think the challenge for a number of people is not just that the prices are going up. It's the fact that earning capacity has not risen in commensurate number or figure with the way the prices have gone up.
No, you
remember that there was a wage review. Well, I say, yeah, there was a salary review, minimum wage review in the aftermath of the removal of fuel subsidy. But it does appear that that has since been eroded.
Yep.
And that is also happening across different sectors of the economy. So that even in places where you might argue that, oh, prices are coming down, people still do not have the purchasing power to be able to buy. And it's now not helped by the fact that there is now this war and prices are rising again, even way above the reach of the people. Only recently, I'm sure, I don't know if you saw it, NLC started to agitate for a wage award to be able to enable them be able to afford transportation. So sometimes it does appear that government doesn't respond as quickly as they ought to the issues that are on the ground, because people feel these things on a daily basis in their pockets. I don't know how your party intends to respond to that, but these are the issues.
Those are issues, but there are responses to it. You see the gas-powered vehicles that most states are using. Now, you can't come up and you say that they can't make purchase. The purchasing power is going down. Of course, it's across board, not just in Nigeria, but across board because of the oil, the war that is going on, even in the United States. So if you run an election now, it's a war period. People will take the bite because of the war going on. People, you see, go on social media. I'm talking about top countries like the US, the UK. People are there saying the purchasing power has gone down. We have to endure it and go through the system. This is not done or caused by APC government. This is not just...
No, APC government, when they came into power from PDP, prices have since changed.
No, but many things
from
have also changed.
In the 13 years. So it's not just about the war.
Many things have also changed. You recall when it came into power.
Many things are going south.
No. Many things changed. You recall what happened, and we came out from one point of crisis to the other. We came during the Buhari period. You saw the issue of COVID-19 happen. Then the oil tanked. We are oil dependent, and we are pulling out of that system. Now many governments have been allowed to regulate their own power system, and it's coming up there. Now the same way they are doing with
which state has come up with anything in power?
Abia State.
No, that's private.
Yes,
private sector.
It's state, also state supported. Enugu State, very, very, very soon.
No, but it's largely private sector.
No,
and that wasn't as a result of the law that was signed.
There's a regulation. That supports it. You can't do it without the regulation. And it is the deregulation of that system done by APC and supporting it. So if you come to Enugu, in a very...
that started during the PDP government, not done by
that's a specific regulation that supports it. Right now in Enugu State, they've just signed MOU with a South African country, company, that we come into Enugu, mine our own coal, and be able to produce power. It wouldn't happen before. Produce power for us, that in the next 2 to 3 years, we will not only be able to supply our own power, we'll be able to supply to other states, sell power to other states. These things are happening because of the policy, the physical policy in place, okay, the financial, the economy, the diversification of our economic power. So from not just oil, but into the agri area, into the tech stuff that is going on, and then into the area of, what do you call it? Talk about agri, tech.
But you know, in spite of all of these things that you highlighted, if you ask some people out there, they'll still tell you they're not happier with their lives. They're not better off right now as we speak.
Look, Chamberlain, happiness is a choice. And then when we say that there's a reform going on.
What option do they have?
Great nations go through this process.
You think they choose to be unhappy when they can't be happy?
Happiness is choice. When you use the word happiness, it's choice. But great nations go through hardship when there's time for reform.
How long is this hardship bomb?
We just started. This is almost just
13 years down the line for the party.
No,
you said 13 years down the party.
The reform we are talking about.
You can't ignore the 13 years of the party. Why 2 years? You can't pick and choose.
It's not 13 years of the life of the party. Okay, 3 years, almost 3 years of the life of this particular presidency.
No, but it didn't start from this. It started from when President
Things have been getting better since then. What we were doing was we were eating things we couldn't afford. We were running on credit.
Things have been getting better. Do you want to tell the people who have lost their homes, who cannot go back to their homes, that things are getting better?
Oh, do we go to security?
No.
Yes.
More people are buying
homes
than before. Lost what home?
It's politicians now that are buying the homes. It's not the regular people.
More people are buying homes. More buildings are springing up everywhere. Okay? So if we want to talk about that, more small businesses are rising. More. You check the SMEs, there's more startups than ever before.
Are people able to save? Because if you look at it, some people will say that there are concentrations in certain places. And you see them more in the city. So for instance, in Abuja now, you might get more people. In Lagos, you might see a huge concentration. In Enugu, perhaps you might see a concentration. But if you look at some places, it does appear that there is an emptying out of certain places for other places as a result of this issue of security. So how would you speak to the people of Yelwata, for instance, people of Borno State, Maiduguri recently, who lost their lives in a bomb blast? How do you speak to people, the rural communities that in Kwara, for instance, that were sacked as a result of what has been happening with regards to security? How do we explain the current security situation to them and say that this government is still very bothered about saving lives and property?
You know, Mope, we can't politicize insecurity. When any life is lost, it's painful to all of us. And when Mr. President took his oath, is to protect lives and property, lives first. There is no president who would go to sleep while their people are being slaughtered. Efforts are being made every day. The terrorism that occurs in this country is not unique. It's not because of the administration. The fight is being on for years, even before APC took over. And the men and women who are in the front line, who are losing their lives to protect us. we can't undermine it and make it politics as usual and talk about it in terms of politics. Because we still have people in the front line who are laying down their lives to ensure that we, like you said, in the city here, where we are free,
all right,
that we stay safe. So every day, the commander-in-chief is working hard to stop this from happening. But the criminals, the mindless criminals, the terrorists are out there to destabilize our country.
Well, they've been there before. The APC told us they were going to solve these problems.
Exactly.
And that was the reason why they were elected. And now, it still appears to be promises.
There's nowhere on earth
where the president
where you can
give us power supply.
There's no.
What about power supply? Where the president said, if I don't give you power supply in 4 years, don't elect me.
The 4 years is not up yet.
Okay.
And they're working on it.
All right, so on that 4 years, if it's up, it means you're telling us we know what to do.
No, it's not true.
It's not
we have
true
to look at things that are on ground.
Yeah, we'll look at it. It's going to be 4,000 million.
You must measure all improvement.
It will be clear. If we don't have uninterrupted power supply, it will be clear for everybody. If we don't have
everybody, you're looking good and better than I saw you before, looking younger under this regime.
Thank you very much. That's a different matter. The regime has nothing to do with this. Dr. Ben Woye, Deputy National Chairman South of the APC, who's been recently elected. Thank you for coming on and all the best.
Emily, thank you.
That wraps it up today on the program. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Usof. Goodbye.
Thank you. I'm Maokwe Ogunisa. Have a great day.